In some 1400 years of Croatian history, putting kings and viceroyals aside, only two noble families are quite recognizable by most of her population today: the noble family of Zrinski and Frankopan. There was also a third Hungarian noble family involved in this specific conspiracy, but since most of my historical sources on the subject are Croatian, we're going to observe it from perspective of Kingdom of Croatia. The family of Zrinski originated from another parent family, Šubić from the southern Croatia, who lost most of its lands and all power in the 14th century. It will take a century and a half for their cadet family of Zrinski to rebuild the power and glory of its predecessors. On the other hand, the family of Frankopan comes from Adriatic island of Krk. Since being surrounded by water from all sides provides certain defensive advantages, they were able to gather more and more power for themselves. They will, however, lose their center of power, island of Krk, in 1480 to the Venetians, but still controlling a sizable coastline. The Habsburgs were trying to centralize their vast kingdom, containing smaller kingdoms. While they were somewhat more successful in centralizing their western provinces, the Kingdom of Hungary, which also included the Kingdom of Croatia, appeared to be more difficult to convince of benevolence of giving most of their powers into the hands of central government. So on one side, there are the Ottomans trying to conquer these lands by sword, and on the other side you got the Habsburgs trying to impose their will on the remaining lands. The interest of Hungarian and Croatian nobility was not the same as the interest of Habsburgs. The Habsburgs had a more pragmatic approach to maintaining their power. If they were able to retake Hungarian and Croatian lands taken by the Ottomans in previous wars, they would strengthen the powers of nobility there, power that could be used one day to challenge the power of the Habsburgs. Their way of thinking might have been logical, but Hungarians and Croatians were not taking this lightly. The discontent toward the Habsburgs culminated after the peace of Vasvar between the Habsburgs and the Ottoman Empire. After the Battle of St. Gotthard in 1664, between the forces of Emperor Leopold Habsburgs and the Ottomans, Ottoman forces had been crushed. Nobles and most of Europe thought that the Habsburgs will take the initiative and start their own offensive to take back the lands from the Ottomans. However, Leopold signed a peace treaty in which he paid reparations to the Ottomans, let them keep all the conquered territories, and agreed to a peace between two nations for 20 years. Liberating Croatian and Hungarian lands might have been in the national interest, but not in his personal interest. He figured those lands would end up in the hands of Croatian and Hungarian noble families, making them too powerful. The Rubicon had been crossed. Nicholas and his brother Peter Zrinski, his brother-in-law Frankopan, and Hungarian nobleman Ferenc Veselny, bishops, judges, and many more, decided to overthrow the Habsburgs and look for help from the outside world to liberate their kingdoms from the Ottomans. The plan was rather simple: offer the crown of the Kingdom of Hungary and Croatia to one of the European rulers, and in return get a form of self-rule, and hopefully get a better treatment than that of the Habsburgs. But the plan hit a bumpy road. Charismatic leader of the plot, Nicholas Zrinski, died in an accident during the hunt, and was replaced by his way less charismatic brother Peter. Next bump was the fact that no European ruler wanted to agree to this deal. The French king rejected it, Kingdom of Poland and Lithuania rejected it, Republic of Venice also rejected this proposal. As a last effort, the Ottomans were offered all the lands of Kingdom of Hungary and Croatia if they get a vassal status and a self-rule inside the Ottoman Empire. But the Ottomans also said no. The last offer was a bridge too far for many conspirators, especially from the church. By this time, Leopold was also aware of the conspiracy. Leopold was way better politician than Peter. He started building local alliances and was waiting for a perfect excuse to finally deal with these conspirators. Without the help from the outside, heavily outnumbered, after a few skirmishes, the emperor offered them pardon if they come to Vienna and plead for mercy. They were all executed a year later, 30th of April 1671.